Alrighty, guys, let's see if we can get Nikki back in here. First time, it's not supposed to be perfect, so. Thanks, guys. Hey, Christian. Nikki is having a hard time getting on for whatever reason, so maybe we got to get you on here. Christian is also one of our head coaches, so I love this. Lisa's here too. Lisa's also one of our head coaches, so that's festive and fun. But Nikki's struggling. That's okay though. Hmm. Let's see. Lisa, I'll let you in a couple minutes. Hold on, let me see if I can get. I'll just let you in, and then we'll see if we can get Nikki in here. It's kind of strange. Maybe because she's in Europe. I don't know. This is so weird. I'm text. I'm messaging on my computer because you can't leave the Instagram app. All right, let's see if we can let me see if Lisa can join, and then we're good. It's so weird.
Hi.
Hey, hey. Ah, Nikki can't get in. It's so
I
weird.
That's
I don't
such
know
a
if it's because she's in
in
Spain,
Spain,
maybe.
probably. That's such a
Is that
bummer.
I know.
Oh,
Oh, Nikki, everyone. She's a holistic chef.
I know, right? Oh, shoot. Well, I can help with anything if you want.
I know, I love it. Well, we'll probably end up. Oh, here's she's in here, but I like can't invite her for whatever reason. Like I click invite and then it just
Oh,
disappears.
no.
Like it's weird.
Like you
She's
can't see her or hear
that's
her?
from her
Okay.
husband's phone, she says, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
What
I was
are you
I,
up to?
I was so excited. Well, actually, I was just doing a little light workout on a break.
Yeah,
So,
we wanted to chat about just with the holidays coming up and what it looks like cooking for us, right?
yep.
I head home, right? Because I'm the cook in my family. I love to cook, and so I'll cook the whole thing, which is it takes me like 8 solid hours, but I get so much joy from doing it, right? And I want to educate this year around the ingredients that I'm using, right? Especially when I make like stuffing, like I'll use organic sourdough, right? So I think
Yeah.
what's crazy, and you probably have heard this, we've had so many conversations about this, is
Yeah.
a lot of people who are on this wellness route, right? They
Mhm.
think they have to give up health, right? And their good habits around the holidays,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It's a little bit different, I think, when you're eating at someone else's house, right?
Yeah.
And the ingredients may not be high quality, the oils that they're using not great,
Yep.
but that's why I cook at home.
And or you can bring it also too.
Yeah,
I've actually tried quite a few of your recipes in the cookbook and they're super yummy.
we
I
need to
mean,
update. that cooking.
Yeah. Last year I made the pumpkin pie and my kids didn't even know it was really, like the traditional pumpkin pie. They didn't really notice the difference and it was amazing. It was so yummy. And I made homemade heavy whipping cream and it was awesome. So it was
That's
really yummy.
Did you
Yeah.
use right? So people are going to
Yeah.
ask, right? What sweetener did you use? Like I'm inviting Christian. Christian.
Oh, good. I used coconut sugar.
Yeah, coconut
Yep.
sugar, right? So
Yep.
if we were Christian, right? We were just talking about
Huh.
not maple syrup, pumpkin
Yep.
pie, right? Most people would think, well, that's sweet, it's bad, right? But we, as coaches, we focus on teaching people high quality ingredients, and it's the ingredients that matter most, right? And so Lisa said she made a pie that tasted so good, but she used coconut sugar. And coconut sugar, for those of you guys listening, it's a lower glycemic sugar,
Mhm.
so it doesn't spike glucose as much as regular sugar. So that's why it's better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my plan this year is I'm going to use the base culture keto bread to make a keto stuffing.
Mm,
So that's like
yum.
something new that I'm going to do this year.
The base culture
Is-
that's the grainless one, right? The keto one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that'll be interesting. We get organic sourdough bread from. Oh, guys, we got Nikki.
Yay.
Oh, wow. That's not me. Hold on.
Um,
What is that? Hi.
okay, this is festive.
Wow.
I actually love this.
Hi,
Hi.
So, real quick, everyone, let's just back up for a second. So, rather than just having only one head coach on this call today, now we have three. So, these amazing women work at Pompa Program, which is my family's coaching company, and they manage about 10 to 12, sometimes even more, coaches within their pod. And what they do is they mentor these coaches, but also help them with the expertise within Dr. Pompa and myself, our protocols, right? Because the way we teach, and diet's going to be what we focus on today, is very specific, right? But it has to be personalized to the individual as well. And so these amazing coaches have been with us for what? 2.5 years, 3 years?
Almost
Almost
4 years for me.
4.
For
Four
Almost
me and
years.
4.
Nikki.
Okay,
Yeah.
I butchered that one. Yep. And Christian, actually, bottom left, well, for me, bottom left, but Christian, she's one of our head trainers. So I've actually had 2 chiropractors from school that I went to school with that are applying Christian, by the way. So kind of cool. Just the people that we're able to influence, really. So anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Nikki, since you finally made it, what did we want to focus on today with the holidays coming up? Yeah.
Well, I didn't know I was going to show back up to a party, so I kind of dressed me, feel like this is like so fun. But we just kind of wanted to, just talk about the holidays and how, a lot of people feel like they're going to like just ruin their whole progress of life
Right.
during the holidays. They get really freaked out by, oh, I can't eat this, I can't do this, yada yada, I can't have carbs this season or whatever it may be. There's so many different perspectives, So we love to think of this a lot different than maybe other coaches or people or in your life or whatever it may be, because we genuinely feel like we should come into this season enjoying it and really doing it in a way that you don't feel guilty, you don't feel like you have ruined all your progress. So maybe we can talk about like what that looks like for us and kind of dissect that a little
I
bit.
think number one, right? I think 2 things, right? We focus as health coaches, we focus on teaching the quality of the food, right? Quality, not demonizing a dish as a whole, but focusing on certain ingredients. But not only that, but timing of intake, right? So I think that's where we stand out as a group as well. That makes us very different is not only do we teach fasting, we teach this idea of feasting, that the famine is just as important as the feast, right? And so for me, right, especially on a big feast day like Thanksgiving, I technically will actually fast typically throughout the morning. And then when I'm ready to actually sit down and have dinner, is when I'll feast, right? So it's really important to have both, not only the fasting component in our diet, but also the feasting. Do you guys do that as well?
Yeah, but I think
Absolutely.
we need to bring a little more info to the fasting concept, because a lot of people kind of hear fasting and many people don't fast, or they don't do it strategically. That's the thing. And so maybe we can talk about what happens a little bit in the body when we're fasted. Who
Absolutely.
wants to dive into that?
Well, hey, I just want to say real quick, Lisa and Christian, if you guys don't want to hang out, you guys go. But
No, you're saying
this
no.
wasn't the original plan, but we love having you, of course. But yes, no, I mean, here's a big thing too, right? Is a lot of people listening may go, well, I'm not a great faster. I can't even make it to 12 o'clock, right? And so it's just like exercise, right? We call this mitochondrial fitness, the ability to go X amount of hours without food. Why? Because the body goes into a state of ketosis, starts actually mobilizing your stored body fat and producing a molecule called a ketone. And the brain uses the ketone, right? When you're in a fasted state, that's normal to occur, but it doesn't always happen, especially in people that aren't quite metabolically flexible, right? And so always start slow. But for a lot of us who've been in this world for maybe a couple of years now, we've challenged our mitochondria to actually burn fat in a state of fasting, right? So eventually we can get there, especially if you're just starting out with fasting. But ultimately, we're tapping into stored body fat for a period of time when we are fasting, right? And then when we're feasting, we're reminding the body it's not starving, right? So, Coolio.
When I first started learning how to like fast strategically and know what was happening in the body and kind of go into this repair mode, I feel like that was one of the biggest game changers for my own, coming from an autoimmune background.
Yep.
And just knowing that on a cellular level, I was tanked in a lot of ways. I was just dysfunctional in a lot of ways. And so when we go into this really beautiful therapeutic dietary strategies, your body can go into that repair mode and start to understand how to heal and know that it's safe to heal at different times. And, you can kind of get the benefits of what you're looking for on a cellular level, which is really what we love teaching. And I mean, everything that Dr. Pompa teaches, Pompa program is all about cellular health. So that's like the fun part.
I love it. So great. We touched on
Yeah.
salmon, right? So that's that's timing of intake, right?
Yeah.
What about quality ingredients? Before you popped on, Nikki, Lisa, and Christian and I, we were talking about just when we make Thanksgiving meals, right? We focus on high quality ingredients. And what does that mean? What does high quality ingredients mean? By the way, as a holistic chef.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about fats for one, right? That's like probably one of one of our favorite ones is just using the high quality, stable fats that are not going to be inflammatory or, damaging to the body. So I love, and I do this whether it's holidays or not. So all the time, as a holistic chef, I'm always opting for the healthy fats, which are things like tallow. I like duck fat, olive oil. I think I had a reel I just put the other day where I was like, I'm in Spain and, all the shelves are filled with olive oil and, those sort options versus name the ones we don't love, guys.
Canola, safflower oil, sunflower oil. Now, right, so a lot of people are in this seed oil movement, right? But when we talk about, seed oils, I like to refer to like rancid seed oils, right? Because not all seed oils are bad, right? Some seed oils in very therapeutic doses, if they're extracted properly without the use of chemicals, right? Without the use of heat, right? They can actually be very therapeutic because they're higher in omega-6s, which we now know is one of the most important components of our cell membranes. So when we say seed oils, we almost want to start like understanding the difference between a rancid seed oil, which is in most processed foods, by the way. So it's easy to go, yeah, seed oils are bad, right? But within that topic, not all seed oils are bad. So just to touch on that one.
Quality.
But yes.
Quality.
Yep. So, but canola is a big one. Vegetable oil in general is a big one. Safflower, sunflower oil, rice bran oil, refined peanut. If it's an unrefined peanut, it seems to do a little bit better. But I would personally avoid it if you can. But refined peanut is not good. So Yeah, so we want to avoid those at all costs.
In a nutshell, guys, the best way to often remember what not to choose and what to choose is if it comes in a clear plastic bottle, that's a sure sign. Don't touch it. I would, from now on, when you go into your grocery store, if you see a clear plastic bottle, that's a no-no. Just pretend it doesn't exist anymore.
Love it.
And then, that's at least a step ahead. That's like the first step that will make some huge progress.
Yeah.
For sure.
And fat
Yeah.
is good for you. Saturated fat is not bad for you.
No.
So when we talk about turkey and mashed potatoes with grass-fed butter in it, right? I personally like to add a little bit of raw cream or raw milk into my mashed potatoes.
Ladies,
so that is
our hormones love fat.
Yeah.
Love
I
fat.
just picked up a gallon and a half of raw milk from Sprouts this morning. I have to go at like 8 in the morning on a Friday, otherwise I can't get it.
I just tracked down a local farm here in Valencia that I can get tallow from directly. So
cool.
I'm putting an order in. I was gonna do it earlier, but I was busy with work. I got to do it this weekend. But I'm so excited to get that local tallow instead of having to buy it online.
Chef, right? Tallow. Sometimes some people struggle with the idea of cooking with beef fat because there's that flavor. Do you like to cook with it? Do you use it in other ways? Do you prefer another fat when you're cooking very high heat?
Yeah, so it's actually, if it's used kind of correctly, I guess, if you're not overdoing it, the flavor's pretty neutral. It's not too bad. It's a high smoke point, which I love. That's my favorite point, right? I only use it for like deep fry mostly or like high heat cooking. I don't really use it for just moderate heat or low heat. I really don't even opt for that. Anything that is really high heat, that's where the tallow comes in good. You want to fry some chicken, you want to fry, make some French fries or something like that, sweet potato fries. It's amazing. But yeah, for like things that if you're just going to pan sear some, chicken or saute some veggies, you really don't have to use the tallow because you don't really need that super high stable heat or stable fat. You can get away with olive oil and coconut oil and, things like that are just, better in that way.
That's a good point. So, right. So what other saturated fats do we love? So, we're talking about number one, fat, right? Okay, let's talk about the next part, which is change the meats you eat. That's one of our kind of foundational principles is change the fat that you eat, right? We're swapping from rancid seed oils, vegetable oils to high quality fats, understanding really what that means and not avoiding saturated as well. But number two, right, is changing the meat you eat. Are you guys going to be sourcing like a pasture-raised turkey this year? Because I am.
Yeah, you definitely gotta find them, right?
Yeah. Christian, I know it's probably like hard to find them, but where do you source your turkey from? Anywhere specific?
So we have a lot of farmers around us.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit easier where I live to just go straight to a source versus like find a store. Like we have a Whole Foods around us, but that's it.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to find farmers out here.
Good, better, best, right? So a lot of people may not have access to a lot of farmers. I know when I lived in Puerto Rico, I was very blessed to have found my local farmers, but it wasn't easy. It took time, and I'd have to drive like an hour to go get like a turkey, right? So not everyone has the ability to do that. So good, better, best, right? An organic turkey from your local grocery store may be the better option than something conventionally grown where that turkey is eating, GMO soy and corn, right? And Nikki, this year you're doing paella though.
I'm not even doing turkey this year. I'm blending traditions. So we are going to make homemade paella at home. If you've never heard of paella, it's a rice dish, but it's going to have chicken and rabbit in it. I am going to use probably a little bit of my duck fat or my tallow in like I'm pointing over here because look, I literally have my stand here. That's what I'll use to cook it on. So I have a stainless pan, and then it's a gas little thing, and I don't know, I'll figure it. I've never done it myself, so this is gonna be fun. But that's gonna be my spin. So I'm gonna do paella and a bunch of like small plates or what they call tapas, and we'll just feast it up that way.
That is
so
so
Lisa, are you doing turkey? Are you cooking?
So I actually belong to a co-op as well. So I get, my milk and most, dairy and some meats from them and my eggs every week. However, this year I'm not cooking the turkey, so I'm not, someone else is,
There
but.
you
Mhm.
go.
But I
Well,
think the point Olivia made, the good, better, best, is a huge point to make because a lot of people, it's do your best, right?
Right.
Go to
mhm.
this, and you can Google your local farms, and find out if there's a co-op. I mean, I go to a residential neighborhood and, they had to have, I think it was like 20 people in order to make this work. So a lot of times you can find, things like that. So that's what I do to get yeah.
So I'm pulling up, and this is kind of where I thought, okay, let me pull this up from our nutrition and culinary from Pampa program. We have our food on the go
Mhm.
document that our clients get to utilize and know where to like find, online foods and things like that are properly sourced. But we also have our, our meats and what is it? Sourcing meat, eggs, and dairy sourcing. So
Yeah, you have
I'm
the
actually going to
yeah,
pull
it's the
that up.
sourcing of meat, eggs, and dairy document. Yeah.
Yes. So let me pull that up where you guys are talking. That way I can maybe give everybody like some options for the websites they could look up if they did want
I
to
love
Yeah.
that.
source
Yeah. And
something.
real
Yeah.
quick before you do that, what Nikki's referring to, so all of us work for, as I've said, Pampa program. And Pampa program is a coaching program where you can actually go through this personalized process and learn protocols, cellular detox, root cause answers, but diet, nutrition strategies, some things that we're focusing on right now. And so within that course and the program that we give you is a lot of resources that Nikki has created a lot of them as our chef. So that's what she's going to show you.
Okay.
One thing I
So
want to
write
add.
this down. What did I miss something? Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just going to talk about the flavor difference.
Mm.
We actually
Oh, go.
raised our own turkey one year. And, my mom was visiting and she was like traumatized that we were going to process it. It's the nice way of saying it. And so we had to wait till she left and the turkey got bigger and bigger. And oh my gosh, it was the best tasting turkey we have ever had.
What did
So
you
just like,
what did you feed it? Like did you just let it roam and kind of
yeah,
do its thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
we had probably a little over a quarter acre. And it was just, it took up about 13 hours to cook it because it got so big. Um,
Wow.
but it was so good. So that's the other thing, right? Is the flavor differences when you are getting higher quality food.
Right, because the mineral difference, right? The mineral difference
Mm-hmm.
in the food is dramatic. I mean,
Hmm.
just from my own personal experience, if you try like a high density mineral water, like spring water, like Mountain Valley, I get it shipped to my house versus like reverse osmosis. I love both are really great, but you can taste the flavor profile is so different because of the
It's
mineral
true.
profile in Mountain Valley water. That's why people love it so much.
Okay, I threw in a few resources for everybody. So I popped them in the. Do you guys see them in comments?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
eatwild.com, localharvest.org, and A Greener World.
Greener World. Yeah. Okay. Those can be places. You can. Oh, my screen. Sorry, you guys are gone. Where
You're
am
so
I at? Oops.
there. We see
Oh.
you. Okay, so we talked about, right? Okay, we talked about change the meat you eat. We want to focus on pasture raised, 100% grass fed. There's a difference between grass fed pasture raised, and right, 100% grass fed. So it's important to know the difference, but always good, better, best, whatever you guys
Yep.
can get is important to focus on. And then the third thing, right, is refined grain. And we kind of touched a little bit on like what do I use when I make stuffing, because stuffing is literally my favorite Thanksgiving food. And I personally will get organic sourdough bread, and that's what I'll make my stuffing with.
I love it. Tell us exactly like what else do you put in there? Because I think we were talking about
I
stuffing. What else do you add in yours?
I like more savory. I'm not a
Hmm.
sweet person.
Yeah.
So I don't put like, people put like cranberries
Mhm.
and certain things in their stuffing. That's not my vibe. I like super
Mm.
traditional celery. I'll use bone broth as well to like really help soak up the bread. And then lots of fresh herbs, tons of fresh herbs, grass-fed butter, a lot of grass-fed butter. And then so I'll stuff the turkey with it, but then I'll also cook a whole pot of it as well, or pan of it in the oven as the turkey's cooking, because I just love stuffing. So you need more than can fit in the turkey.
I
Yeah.
actually had an early Thanksgiving with my family in Northern California, and I did organic sourdough stuffing also, Olivia. And I just did olive oil and some herbs. I made it, it was pretty basic, but it was really yummy. Grass-fed butter. It was good. And I didn't do it in the turkey, but I just baked it, but still it was really yummy.
Right, but not everyone, right? So on this note, right, that third part of just what we teach as foundational eating, which is, ditch the refined grain and
Yep.
sugar, right?
Yeah.
But for some of us that have been through this gut healing journey for a while now, we can add grain back in. Grain is not the problem. Inflammation is the problem, right? So for a lot of us, we've been able to add it back in. Now, those of you that may struggle still with your autoimmune today, maybe you are still sensitive to grain, maybe sourdough you're still not good with. So Christian, you're an example of someone who, right, you have to go grainless completely. So that's why you're using the base culture bread.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then, my daughter was just diagnosed with a rare digestive disorder. So her body does not make the enzymes to break down carbs and sugars. So it's kind of been a deeper overhaul for the whole family and for the better, right? Maybe we allowed certain things back into our diet that maybe we shouldn't have. So, just excited that there are options out there for our nutritional needs, right? And just being completely grain-free. There's a lot more options these days than a decade ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, and
100%.
a lot of grain-free ingredients, just on that note, a lot of gluten-free ingredients.
Mhm.
Just because it says it's healthy on the box,
Mhm.
it's packed with seed oils and starches, super, glycemic, right? So you have a higher glycemic effect with a lot of these gluten-free foods. So they're not always better, right? But to Christian's point, for right now, her family's grainless, right? And another point, going back to this first conversation of stressing the microbiome with changes in diet, just like changes in your workout, right? It's a hormetic change that we want to do. And so sometimes just switching up your diet periodically is the key. So even if one year you did grainless and then one year you didn't, right? You can do that as well.
And eating
Yeah.
seasonally also.
Yep.
Nikki's so good about that.
Yeah. Seasonally is my favorite thing. And also for women, changing the way we eat
Mhm.
based on our cycle. So
Yep.
I eat differently throughout the month. There's,
Great point.
Absolutely.
Next week, I'm right before my period, actually. Sorry, TMI followers, but we talk about this stuff. Yeah.
we talk about
Next
this.
week, Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
I'm a few days from my period, so I'm going to be craving carbs. So stuffing is going to be my best friend.
Yeah. So you guys never like beat yourself up. Women who are on here, I can't. I need to see who's here. Anyways, but never like, feel bad about the cravings. Cravings are cues. They are telling you often what's happening in the body, what you need. If you have like hardcore cravings the week before your menstrual cycle, it's probably because you need to feed progesterone. Progesterone hormone is asking you to nourish it, to build it, to support it. So that's where we can choose those healthy carbs instead of a bag of, funky chips. I say funky chips, so I don't know. I don't eat chips that much
Funky
anymore.
oil.
Funky oil chip, and a bag of Skittles, for instance. What about we, roast a really yummy sweet potato, lather some yummy butter on it, sea salt, and the natural sweetness in that sweet potato, or even just fruit, right? I mean, like, this is the time for like natural sweetened foods.
Yes.
And that is going to nourish your hormones. It's going to make your cravings, feel taken care of, and you do it and you get all the nutrients, all the antioxidants, all the vitamins and everything. And then your hormones will love you for
I
it.
love it.
And it will help also with your menstrual cycle. It will
Yeah.
help with, the everything about it, the cramps,
I
everything.
have to say, right, Lisa, to that point, I used to have really painful periods.
Yeah.
And if I would really support my progesterone by eating carbs 5 days before my period, my periods were always a lot easier
Better.
and more regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Know
And
that
to be
trick
in a
as a
cycle.
female.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, once you know that trick as a female, right? Don't be doing the crazy intermittent fasting the week before your cycle starts, right?
Nope.
Listening to those cravings, there's a reason why you are wanting to feast at that time, right? And there's no
Yep,
shame in that.
absolutely.
It's really how we optimize our hormones. Just,
Yeah.
being mindful of what we choose. to Nikki's point, I love cooking sweet potato and then cooling it and eating it cold in the morning with like a sprinkle of like cinnamon. It's almost like having pumpkin pie. Like, and then you have the
Yeah.
resistant starch with that because you cooled it. So it's kind of like the whole
Yep.
bonus of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Vitality Artist is saying I love, oh, this is Lauren. Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
I love butternut squash, anything. Also, we need our own talk show. Heck yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. That would be amazing. Yes,
Crush that.
we would.
That's what we want to do. I want to bring you guys.
Oh
more
my
on
gosh.
It's so fun.
We want to teach people why, because we want to bring people into our program so
Yeah.
we can not only teach you diet, but diet variation, but also
Yeah.
cellular detox, and also identifying root causes of inflammation. That is really the magic of getting well, right? My father calls it R1, is going after the root cause or the source of why you're so sick.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I love that.
So
We
educational.
we've touched on like so many different snippets. You imagine we could just take each one, boom, a whole. We could have a whole other,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
So
it was
last
so
part,
fun.
the third component, which is changing from refined grain and sugar to
Mhm.
not refined grain and sugar, or going grainless completely if you have a certain gut disorder, to Christian's point earlier. What about sugar, right? We just talked a little bit about, fruit, of course, in moderation is healthy, especially in a certain window. If you're feasting versus famine, right? Eating something that is going to spike glucose, we would consider that a feast, right?
Mhm.
So I think we want to have and Christian, you're really good at talking about this as head trainer, but there's a difference between eating fruit every couple of hours and consistently spiking glucose versus eating it within a window. What are your thoughts on that conversation?
Yeah, I think, one big thing I like people to really focus on is getting blood sugar regulated, right? So many people don't realize they're walking around with unregulated blood sugar. And the first thing they say is, but I don't eat a lot of candy. I don't eat a lot of sugar. So making sure that we're eating plenty of protein and fats at appropriate times.
Yeah.
And when we're having fruits, let's not have naked fruits. Let's make sure we are balancing it with some protein and fat, right? So that we're not getting those spikes. And I think that's the biggest thing for people to really know is making sure you know how to balance it, right?
Mhm.
You'll have people that will see and they're like proud that they eat fruit just for breakfast, but their body is still sugar burning. Their blood sugar is dysregulated, right? And teaching them, well, maybe we should actually have some eggs for breakfast,
Yeah.
right? Maybe have some eggs with your fruit.
I love that.
And really, I do love sticking with the more low glycemic ones, right? The berries. Like that's a great one. Like if you are going to get down on some fruit, have some berries. And they're high in antioxidants, right? All kinds of vitamins and nutrients. So
Absolutely.
I think the breakfast is a huge one for people with what they're eating in the morning. It just sets them on the wrong path for the whole day to have, dysregulated blood sugar. And if they can start with fats and protein in the morning, you can really get them on the right track to become a fat burner. And that's huge when they come into the program. I think that's huge.
So, right. One of,
Mhm.
like me personally, when I break my fast, because in the morning I'm in
Yeah.
ketosis, right? Ketosis means your body is actively burning ketones for energy. Oh, technically your brain, right?
Yeah.
So what I love to do is, because my body's in ketosis, my first meal typically, whether it be a cocoa yogurt that's super low in carbs, it's sweetened with stevia. You've got a couple of eggs, maybe some raw cheese. I like raw Parmesan cheese, or even a hard-boiled egg, right? I'll break fast with very low carb and then do my carbs later with dinner.
Yep.
The reason why is because you can keep yourself in that ketogenic fat burning state for a period of time until you're ready to pull yourself out and remind your body it's not starving. That's what we call famine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. I save carbs for dinner.
So do I. Yeah. Unless I have like a
Same.
super rigorous workout in the morning and I want to do like berries in my shake or something, that's different.
Yeah.
Trying, berries with post workout is actually, it can be pretty beneficial for some people.
It keeps you satiated also, so you don't, snack on other things that you shouldn't be snacking on.
Totally.
So,
Totally. Well,
Yep.
Okay, so right, we talked a little bit about fruit, and then in the beginning of this, I think before we got cut off, but when we're cooking at home, when we're baking at home, right? Especially for the holidays, and this topic really was around the holidays. What sweeteners do we focus on, Nikki? What do you prefer? I like baking my pumpkin pies and stuff with either coconut sugar or maple syrup is actually really good.
Yeah,
But right, if you make like
like a
yeah,
pure maple syrup, right? We're not looking at the
high fructose
plastic
corn
bottle that's like corn syrup and
coloring, yeah.
yeah,
Organic
yeah. Pure
in the
pure
glass.
maple syrup. Yeah. Pure maple syrup. I love coconut sugar for those times and raw honey. I love raw honey
Good one.
and yeah. I do monk fruit too, but I will say more feast time. I do lean towards the coconut sugar and raw honey and pure maple syrup. I only kind of opt for pure monk fruit when I'm like trying to I'm
Crave
like getting to the
keto.
low carb like I'm like gonna lead to keto but not quite. But when I go right into keto, no, I don't even try to fuss with added potential sugars. When I'm on keto days, it's simple foods. It's
Same.
vegetables,
Steak and
fats, and some moderate
broccoli.
protein. That's it. It's like steak and broccoli and fat. Yeah.
Well, you bring up such an important point when it comes to sugar, right? Because people get confused. They're like, what the heck? When am I supposed to use this? When am I supposed to use that? We go back to the conversation with diet variation. If you are trying to stay at a ketogenic famine place, fat burning state, this is a catabolic pathway. This is where you'd prioritize stevia and monk fruit, right? Because it's not going to spike your blood sugar and pull you out of that ketogenic place. However, if you are trying to, maybe before your period, support progesterone, if maybe it's a holiday and you're trying to enjoy yourself and feast ultimately, but also maybe you don't have a certain gut condition where you have to be low carb all of the time. There are some people that have to avoid sugar in general because it just flares their gut up or flares their autoimmune up, right? Then you do have options like maple syrup, even organic cane sugar in moderation if it's coming from a good source, right, guys? Coconut sugar. What else do we love? We're not the biggest fan of agave, not the biggest fan,
No.
right? Just because of the sourcing and the quality. But
Yeah.
We said honey, right? Yeah, raw organic honey
Raw
because that
honey.
one's so mhm,
Yeah. So
so much good.
we talked a lot about, I just want to make sure that those who are joining us who are not super familiar with like keto, we talked a lot about keto so far. And I want people to understand that there's more, when people think about keto, you may often think that it's the kind of diet or nutritional, strategy that somebody does when they're just trying to lose weight. Now, when we say it, we are seeing it from a whole nother therapeutic side of things. We're talking addressing inflammation, all of these, come on,
Autoimmune,
guys, throw some benefits.
autoimmune,
Chronic illness,
Inflammation, autoimmune.
chronic
just
Wait, sorry.
metabolic dysfunction.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But really, it's a healing diet. It's a healing strategy. I mean, there's more to healing, but it's a component to healing, right?
Absolutely.
So know that if any of us talk about keto, it's not because we're like, oh, we're trying to like lose weight this week. Like, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's literally training our bodies to be as nice and trim and as we can, right, in a healthy way. And I'm never trying to be too skinny, I'll tell you that for sure. I love a little bit of life to me, but regardless, we talk about it as a therapeutic,
Yeah.
kind of diet strategy. I just want people to know that and know we have
Mhm.
using
You're bringing this
and
up
stuff.
because a lot of our followers, right, are maybe they're in the Papa program, maybe they have gone through our program, maybe they're interested in learning more about it. And so, us as coaches and head coaches, what we do for a living is we teach coaches to guide you through this process. And we are working with clients that are very sick and they're struggling, right? They've had this, what we call a perfect storm, where multiple stressors, whether it be chemical, physical, or emotional, have come together. And honestly, their bucket has just tipped. Their bodies, their cells are just screaming for help. You don't know why you're so sensitive. You don't know why you wake up every day feeling like the life has just come out of you, right? And so that's what Nikki's referring to is when the client is ready, when you are ready, and we move you into this therapeutic place of using ketones as a therapy, which is ketosis. We do it for short periods of time, and those are the cases that we're typically using keto for.
And very importantly, to your point, Olivia, we meet clients where they're at. So it's not like we just throw them into this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Train the body.
And that's
Train
why
it.
we
Yep.
focus on foundations of eating. We talked about the three things, right? Replace the
Yeah.
meat you eat with high quality, grass-fed, organic, etc., right? No refined grain and sugar. We want to move to better options or go grainless completely, and changing the fat that we eat. And so that's the foundation for eating. Once we have our clients, they get that
Yeah.
down, right? That's easy for them, and that's not easy for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But once we can get that established, then we start stressing the microbiome in the body metabolically with things like keto and maybe a little bit of carnivore, maybe, right? So
Mhm.
Okay. So this season, for those who, need to have like a really big takeaway from today's chat, overall, we talked about those three things. So when we're thinking about the holidays, honestly, our recommendations, maybe we do like a little round table. Like, what is your one recommendation of what they should have on their dining table for Thanksgiving? Like, just Olivia, you
Okay.
start and we'll go around.
I'm going to say two things. Okay.
Okay.
So number one, I make my gravy with bone broth. So that's what I do. Okay. I love bone broth gravy. I think it's amazing, right? Because obviously all the juice from the turkey, it's not typically enough to make enough, I have a big family, right? So I'll use bone broth to kind of add to that. So that's my secret. And then the second thing is a glass of wine,
Mhm.
right? What? A doctor, a health coach drinks wine? Yes. When we focus on and prioritize the quality of that wine, it's very important when, if you decide that maybe you want to enjoy on a special occasion a glass of wine, that you are understanding the difference between very cheap American grown that's packed with pesticides, high sugar. They add sugar to wine, guys. They do. It's bad.
Mhm.
And so really what my family focuses on is either Dry Farm, which
Mhm.
is a third-party company that actually, it's Lisa's favorite, that certifies these wines as ketogenic, so low glycemic, low carb, but also without pesticides, glyphosate. So we love Dry Farm, but my family also, we love Italian grown French wines because there's less of that pesticide runoff in those countries, right? So I'm going to have a glass of wine on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Yep. Christian, you're up.
Second that.
All right. Some good old grass-fed butter makes everything taste better and will keep you satiated, right?
Love that.
Has some good vitamins in there, our fat-soluble vitamins. And then I would say vitamin G. So bringing gratitude to the table.
Yeah.
Aw.
I
Really,
love that. Oh, that just gives
really,
me shivers. I love it.
That is
you know,
so beautiful.
don't be stressing about what you're eating that day. I feel like a lot of people, especially women, right, that they're really like, oh, I can't eat that. No, let's have a feast day, y'all. Like, eat up and be thankful and have gratitude for the food at your table and the people beside you.
I love
Amen.
that. I love that. The mindset, right? So don't beat yourself up. No guilt that day. Do your best on that day to, eat pretty healthy, but don't beat yourself up if you do happen to be at someone else's home and you aren't, eating how you normally would eat. I think for me, it would be swapping out, sugar in whatever dessert you want and, using some of these alternative sweeteners that we just mentioned earlier. Maybe it's your pumpkin pie. I wish we could put the recipe in here, but I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
we could. We could
Yeah,
probably
the
attach it.
pumpkin pie
It's in the
recipe.
recipe
Yeah,
book, right?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
The holiday.
but something like that. Just try swapping out for a healthier, little bit healthier dessert, even if it's just your sweeteners.
Yep.
Yeah. So Lisa, instead of the regular refined sugar,
Yep.
so our recommendation for you guys is to pick up some coconut sugar or look up a recipe that it includes, raw honey or maple syrup instead, just alternatives. But even that alone, no more refined white sugar.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. Let's move on from that, right?
Yeah.
Get some really, at least just raw cane sugar, right? Just get it in its at least a better form of whatever you can. So I love that. I will add to this list and I will say, make your own darn cranberry sauce, please. No sauce in a can that comes like no more of
No.
that.
That's crap.
If you
Yes.
need a cranberry sauce recipe, DM me. DM me
Yep.
today. I don't care. And every day from here, whoever sends me messages, I'll send you my cranberry sauce recipe. Okay?
Nikki's
Yeah.
recipes are real, guys.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
and cranberry sauce is so fun to make, guys. If you have never made it, like when they pop, I don't know. It's
They
like a
pop
sensory thing. It's so fun. I love making cranberry sauce.
best parts of Thanksgiving. You got to make it.
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
people listening, just to kind of wrap this up here, they may be thinking, what the heck? I don't even know how to cook eggs, right? So one of the things that we have prioritized this past year in Pampa program is we now have a cooking school where Nikki is adding videos almost every
So
couple
awesome.
of weeks on, look, this is how you take a high quality ingredient and you cook it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, Nikki, you've done a really good job with that. So we're super
We are
excited.
just getting started, guys. We haven't even scratched the surface on that space yet. Pampa Cooking School is in there within Pampa program, and it's getting hot in
Awesome.
there
I
for
have
sure.
learned so much from Nikki. Honestly, I'm one of those people. I am not a great cook, right? So, but I made her chicken noodle soup yesterday. Well, I added the noodles, but I made the chicken soup. Yeah. And she's helped me so much. But I mean, I'm a very basic cook. So yeah, shout out to you, Nikki.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Cool too,
You
because
guys
you
are
don't have to be
awesome.
this professional cook to teach people
Yes.
how to use high quality ingredients, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
where my passion comes from, is because I always grew up cooking. I learned a little bit from my nanny, and my mom didn't love to cook, so I would cook for my brothers. And so I'm no holistic, I'm no
Olivia,
crazy
do
chef,
not
but
even try. She is so amazing. She's so amazing.
I've seen
Don't
your
even let her fool you,
pictures of your
Olivia.
food. You
Yeah.
are.
it's fun. It's
So
fun. It's fun to
amazing.
experiment
Yeah.
and just put all your stuff together. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, before we close out, I just want to thank my beautiful head coaches here. You guys are amazing, and I just love you guys. But real quick, for those of you guys listening and those that may listen later, the link to join Pampa program is in both of Nikki. I think it's in all of our bios, but it's in all of our bios. But go check it out. If you guys are interested, you guys can learn more in those links. And you guys can DM us for any questions. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great
Bye.
Good day. Bye.
You
Bye, guys.
too. Bye.